I'm Chiti Babu on behalf of Edukaushal, bringing you a special session on JNV selection test for the year 24-25. The selection will be for class 6 and the students who are in class 5 need to take up these exams. We are an education company wherein we do assessment of students to see their learning level and help them to perform better. Generally, whenever a student starts preparing for the school exams or for planning for the career, there are some areas which they are supposed to look in. And this is what we are going to help the students to do with. This JNV is a very important milestone for students. Now let us look in why every class 5 student should prepare for JNV entrance. This is a question most of them have in their mind, and they are supposed to look in a perspective wherein this is going to help the learning level of the child in future. Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya is an autonomous body under Ministry of Education. This school is run by Government of India and it follows CBSE curriculum. It is run by Central Government of India. For this, 75% of rural students get admission and around 25% will be for urban students. Therefore, the priority will be for the rural, but still the importance of urban student preparing for this test is very vital. We'll just look in and understand why this is. Jawahar Navodaya is a co-educational residential institution providing free boarding and lodging. I know many of the people feel that, okay, we are able to provide this to my child, why should I do this? We'll look into that. It gives free uniform for the students. It even gives textbooks and stationeries also. It also gives to and fro rail and bus fare for students. Most of you should be aware that every district is having a school for this particular purpose. Now, we are supposed to start this process with online registration, and there will be a selection test. The online registration has already opened and it will be there till September 16, 2024. It's already, we are in the month of August. We have a couple of days, couple of weeks to complete this process. For this, there is more document need to be done. September 16, 2024 is a very important date we need to remember. Selection test for Karnataka students. Generally, northern states will be having their exams bit late. It will be in the month of April 12, 25. But for rest of the country, it will be in the month of January 18, 25. This is something important we need to look for. These 2 days play a very vital role because if you are not registered online, for that you need to submit some documents. If you have not completed, the student will not be able to take up the exam in the month of January. Therefore, registering before the due date is important. Don't rush at the last moment. Keep your documents and other things early. And the students have ample of time for preparation. But some parents always feel this. My child is studying in a very good school. It's better than any other school. Then why should my child prepare for this selection test? This is one vital input a parent should be knowing. Next one is only child don't want to send. Many parents feel so. I have only single child. How can I leave the child? Let the child be with me. And some parents also feel that child can't stay without parent. This is one more emotion what parent will be having. See, these are something important stages of the child that the parent need to understand that this is the stage the child will start going extrovert and the child should get more opportunity for learning. Let's understand this in a much deeper sense. With all these things, still preparing your child for selection test is very crucial. Only after this session you will be able to understand how important it is and how crucial role it plays in your child's future and for better academic performance and for better learning. It is not just on the marks, it is something beyond that what we'll be looking. Now let's find out the reasons, advantages of preparing for the selection test. In this test, there will be the selection test. Consists of objective questions. Let's look into that. The first one is mental ability test. Generally, we talk about this at the higher level, math, but it starts as early as 5th standard, and it is not just now it has started. It is way back. This mental ability test has been conducted for these students. And the second one is mathematical test, which helps the child to look into mathematical problems, and then a language test. These are the 3 crucial tests which the child does. With this language test, the child has an option. The child will be able to explore something better than what we generally think. Let's look into this one after the other. The first one, mental ability test. Generally, we think that mental ability is something the child should have acquired or they have been possessing it. But it's not true. If you see these questions, in this question, there is a pattern wherein the child need to be exposed to process the brain processing. They need to know what exactly they need to think. Because now we have already talking about think design. Therefore, the thinking is a process. We need to design, we need to help the child to develop this particular process. When the child starts preparing for this mental ability test, the first and most important thing is they develop a lot of observation. It's an opportunity for the child to deepen their observation. Then they will be able to develop reasoning ability. Why is this? Why should I do this? Why it is not equal? Why shouldn't I take this out? If you see this, you are able to see that complete the pattern where the observation is there, and the next one, the child is going to work for odd man out, and they need to have a reason. They should develop this reasoning, and they will be having a logic. Okay, this is where it is. Now, if you see the second picture, the child develops a logic that the 2 dots or either side, but in one particular picture, the child has it on the picture, has the dots on the same side. The child need to look into these things. This logic they start developing, and again there will be a rationality. This is something important. As the child grows, they need to be more rationalist. Therefore, they will be able to take proper decisions, able to see life in a proper perspective. With doing this type of activity, we have seen that the students are able to focus more. They engross in the process. Many a time we feel that the child will not be able to focus, but this particular test will help the child to engross himself into the process. Then concentration. We have seen that once the child start looking on that thing, some of the thing we feel that, okay, if we give some device or if they are in some particular activity, they develop concentration. This math preparation for this is going to help the child to concentrate. See, this is the other part what we always need to look in. Most often we see that the child need not go for these things, therefore we don't prepare that. But definitely many students will have this edge. They get this facility to learn better. We need to facilitate the learning process. Therefore, these are all the important psychological aspects that the child is going to gain out of this particular test. Then their attention span expands. Generally, we find that the child doesn't have much attention time, but this is going to help them. They will be more curious. They want to solve more problems. This is how they get more attention. They are able to work on that. And the most important thing is they will be able to distinguish things. Why is this way? Why the other things are the other way? The distinguishing pattern will all be important for the child's future. See, all these things are not for the seat. All this preparation is for their life. It is not for just for the academics, or it is not just for the career. It is for their life. We parents always look in, okay, my child should get this to develop more and gain more benefit out of his life. That is how this math is going to help the child to develop their future. And one more important thing is the spatial ability, what we call it as. This is something important. Whenever we see there is a block or something behind it, the child will be able to think behind whatever has happened behind the wall, or some visualization will start happening. This is going to facilitate these type of things. Therefore, mental ability is not just a test to pass. It's a test for a life. It's a preparation for the life. It's something which is going to work magic for students in their upcoming life. Then coming to the next thing is, it is math. After math, it is arithmetic test. This arithmetic test deals more with numbers. We know that we have calculators, we have computers, all these things are there, and everything will be worked with that. But basically, we need to understand the process, how we are able to distinguish is something is right or not. To see that this process of numbers is something important for every child. Whichever career they take up, it is important for them to collect data. Let it be a science, let it be in the arts, let it be in the commerce. Everywhere we find that data collection plays a very crucial role. And next to that, it's the understanding. We generally see that whenever the child is working with some numbers, it is easy for them to add or subtract. But here, whenever they work with these type of problems, they need to start understanding it. What is expected from me? We may talk that there is only 4 type of operation: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But it is important to understand what is to be applied and where it is to be applied. This is something most crucial in developing their ability in understanding their life. And calculation is one more thing. What comes out? What will be the result? What are the steps I am going to do with? This is something this particular test is going to help. And one more important thing, we always talk about problem solving ability. These type of test helps the child to develop this ability. We generally think, okay, the child should get sufficient scope to learn these abilities. Therefore, if we start it early, see, all maths and reasoning, all these things are something very important the child would have already developed. But in this particular preparation for the exams, it helps them to prepare better. They get an opportunity to learn. This is to be seen as an opportunity for learning rather than giving a competition. It is for developing the competency of the child, not just competitions. We will be focusing more on competitions, but that is not the way. We need to see that the child has the opportunity to develop their competency. The child will be able to quantify. Many a time we find that what is this tens, what is this thousand, how big it is, how different it is. We feel that this is not going to work. When our program, we help a child to visually quantify these things, able to see how these things are different than regular things. When the child has a visual appreciation of the things, the understanding is something greater than just learning with the numbers. Generally, whenever we talk about numbers, we always deal with 0 to 9, but something beyond that thing is maths has a totally different thing to say to the child. When we are telling them 125, it means that it is not just 1, 2, 5. It is something beyond that, wherein 1 representing something else, 2 representing the other one, and 5 representing the other one. But how does it look? How big it looks? This is what the child will be able to quantify these things, and they will be able to find unitary systems, exactly what happens per unit. This is something important whenever they take into any type of their life. If they are into commerce, this is required. If they are into humanities, they require these things. If they are into science stream, they require anything with computers, they require all these processes require this basic learning. And one more important thing is one that know how to collect the data, and one more thing is data analysis. We generally talk about opportunities in the market, data analysts. There is a great demand for them, but where does it start? It should always start from the primary level, and the schools and the curriculum has always supported these type of things. If we see these numbers, we never thought that this is going to help a child in this future to do all these things. But most important thing is analyzing these things plays a very vital role for them. Then interpretations. It is not just collecting and analyzing. I need to interpret what does this mean. This is the gist of the whole process or the whole learning, and the whole job process is this is what they are supposed to do. How do I interpret? How do I interpret? It is not just the numbers, or it is not just the chart, it is not just the data. How do I interpret my life? There are so many things I need to understand. I need to calculate. I need to solve. I need to quantify it, I need to analyze it, and then I need to interpret what is this data is going to tell. That is what the life is. That is how our life is working, and that is what we are supposed to look in. And discrete thinking. Generally, we jumble up whenever we are thinking, but this mathematics is a subject wherein the child from the early stage will be able to think discretely. They keep things aside and they are able to deal with things not being biased. These abilities will be developed. Therefore, the selection preparation is something important for the child. Even though your child is good, you need to help them to get an opportunity for learning. This exam is free. They need not pay anything for that. But definitely the child can spend some extra hours. We always think the child doesn't have much time, but when we think of class 5, we will be able to see that what is the level of learning the child should have achieved. We need to see whether my child has learned, whether the child has learned this basics and achieved this particular learning outcome. That is what you are supposed to look in. It is not just in the mass cards that they get good numbers. It is something what they need to be facilitated to learn these things. And the last session that we are going to look in is language test. This language test is something very important for us. We generally think that humanities is not given much importance. But if you see this particular paragraph, in this particular paragraph, there is some information and the student should comprehend it and then he need to answer. Therefore, the most important here is the language development will be assessed. Here, when the child start doing this, when the child start reading, his language will develop drastically. And he should be able to comprehend whatever he is reading, he should be able to understand what it means. And the next important thing is it develops a concept for the child about different things. It is going to help the child to understand, not only understand, to get a vast exposure of life and being more better reader. And there are some questioning is there. Now when the child is reading the next of the question, there is a question for him. Why? What? All these things will start happening. That is something important whenever the learner learns something new. And understanding situation is something important, because in this learning, whenever we talk about school learning, it is just not reading the text and learning, mugging up the question answers and just writing in the exams or tests. It is something beyond that. It has so many other features. See, understanding the situation is something where we go for the empathy and other things. Therefore, this is something the child should start feeling it, start knowing it, and start working on that thing. These are something the child need to learn when they get into the next level. And comprehensive learning. It is not just learning. Comprehension is different. Understanding. Comprehensive learning is they take complete summary of the thing and they will be able to relate it to other situations also. This is something important we need to nurture from younger age. This is going to help the child when as they grow, they will be able to see the world in a totally different perspective. I've seen many students who have taken this JNV exams performing extremely well in their whatever career they have taken at a later stages. Therefore, it is not just for the preparation. It is not just for a free seat. It is not just to go over there. These are exams which helps the students to go beyond that. This is the level of learning the child should have acquired. We will be able to just reset the whole learning process of the child. If they are falling behind, at this stage, we will be able to give that opportunity for the child to reset themselves and get appropriate setting for class 5, and then they will be able to get into class 6. With this, therefore, there are some paragraphs wherein they will be finding facts also. Therefore, the overall language package helps the child not only for the exams. It is something, the field, whatever they are in, professionals, they become an engineer, they become a doctor, they become a chartered accountant, they can become a wonderful farmer, they can become some important scientist or whatever they become, but they need to have this language ability. Only with the language ability, they will be able to go to the next level. If you see now, the most important things that is being assessed in these exams, math is there, arithmetic test is there, language test is there. These are the essence of the learning. It is not just learning from the textbook and scoring marks. This is, we tell that the outcomes of these learning. When the outcome of the learning, school learning is extended, that is where this JNV is going to help them. The preparation will help the child to extend himself from just being in the classroom to get into the other world of their life. Along with this thing, there are more benefits. There is a preparedness with the child. Once the child is taking up these type of exams, once they start preparing for that, they will be prepared for next level of examination. We generally talk about competitions, but we never look in how we can help the child to develop their competency. And the next thing is, when they start taking these type of exams, they start following a study routine. That is what is being done. They will be working their schoolwork. Along with that thing, these students find some time for their study for these selections. And they start cultivating habit. This is something more important. I've seen students who have taken up these exams, they start getting these habits of developing their study, they strategize their study, they plan their study, all these things will happen. And they find ample time for other activities also. This is something important. And they develop competency in their life. Most important thing is, once the child develops competency, the child becomes competent enough and confident enough. If there is competency, confidence will generally come out from the child. We can't expect the confidence and then the competency. It is the other thing. The first is competency, which will be exhibited as confidence. That is what these exams are going to do. And this will help the child to organize himself or herself, because when they are dealing with so many things, so many internal mechanism is happening in the mind, and they start organizing themselves for a better career. And they have the ability they have additional abilities. They develop a lot of other ability than their peer group. Wherein others are just preparing for the school test, these students go ahead and they develop additional abilities for themselves. See, the school test will not be able to, not all schools will be focusing on all these areas, but definitely when the child takes up this selection test, preparation for that thing, they start developing more abilities. Improved academic performance. Once the child is preparing for this, parents generally feel that, okay, my child's academic performance may go down. Definitely not. We have seen the child's performance in their academic also is better. One important thing is that it is not that you're supposed to skip the school and prepare for JNV. JNV is just an extension of your school learning. Whatever you have learned in the school, you should extend daily. 2 hours of working should help you to prepare better for your exams and for your future. And the child will having more capability. Improved capabilities is seen once the child who takes up JNV exams, selections exams have going to appear for. And they learn time management, which is something very crucial, very important, and we all talk about. Therefore, these type of things are something very important. The other benefit, what we are going to come. See, these are all the byproducts, what the child is going to get. But we always try to see that, let my child get all these things. And with this, you will be able to help your child, encourage your child, help him, support him to see that he becomes more performer, more able to perform things better rather than just feeling that. If you feel your child needs these things, then encourage the child to take up this selection test. It doesn't cost anything. It is just an application. There is a process you need to finish up, and the child should get into some type of training, which we Edukaushal is starting. We are going to help your child to develop, to gain this knowledge. If not for your JNV, it will be there for Aadarsha, few other exams. The child is going to learn by this. And I have seen that students who have been able to do here in their higher classes, they will be able to perform better, and they get an exposure for this competitive exams. That is a wonderful advantage that your child is going to get. In our next session, let's look in how to go further. In this session, I have just given an input why this is important. Don't neglect this. Don't tell that I am not sending my child to JNV. I don't want my child to stay away from me. Please don't do this. At this stage, it is important for you to empower your child, make your child get the opportunity to be better part of himself or herself. Definitely every child has lot of potential, but one important thing is they should get opportunities. They should be given sufficient space and time to develop themselves. Therefore, JNV is one such thing which is going to support for future learning for their career. Therefore, we need to focus on this thing, and we will be discussing in our next session on who is eligible. It is class 5 students. In a nutshell, what I'm telling now, and documents required. Yes, there should be their Aadhaar card they should be having, and they should have a form filled by their parent and get it signed from the head of the institution, their photo, a signature, all these documents, how to do it, how to upload, all these things will be reaching out in a very short time. And how we need to work online and offline. Before going online, what are the things we should keep ready? Therefore, the process of filling the application and completing becomes easy. We'll be discussing all these things in our further sessions. Build a strong foundation for your child. Let your child get the opportunity to learn better and perform better. I thank you for being with me and just going through this session. Hope this session helps you a lot, and this session is going to support your child for their future with a wonderful foundation. Thank you.